but what about having a mentor?
Yeah, I think, if you can have some old kind of, generally mentors are older than you, it doesn't have to be. So grey hair, or no hair. Just joking. Francis hasn't aged a day since I met him in 1996. He looked 60 in 96 as well. I'm only joking. He, by the way, gave me one of the breaks of my life because I didn't get minimum requirements for honours. And I had to beg him and beg him and beg him to let me write. So I'm always very grateful for the lucky break I got. And I would recommend that you all don't put yourself in that stressful position. Just do what you've got to do so they don't give you trouble. So I'm getting older now, so more people are asking me to be a mentor. And it's just like with girls, right? And I'm just talking because I'm a guy, so I don't really know how it's like with guys. A lot of people at Seapoint know how it is with guys, but I don't. And if I go to a girl and say, hey, how'd you like to be my girlfriend? How'd you like to be my girlfriend? Hopefully you say yes, but probably...
She's married with 3 kids.
Yeah. So her condition is no more kids. You can't find a mentor by looking for a mentor. You can't walk into a bar and say, hey, you want to go out tonight? You want to go home? And so I just find that mentors cross your path in life. If you're really lucky, your parents... If you want to be an entrepreneur, you need to find people who are entrepreneurs or businessmen. So if you're lucky, your dad or your mom's an entrepreneur or a successful business person, and then you've got a built-in mentor that they have to talk to you. Even if they don't want to talk to you, they have to actually have supper with you every night. And I think I was a bit lucky like that. So I don't think my old man was particularly excited about all the stupid questions I asked my whole life, but he had to listen to me. And I see how many people try to suck his time and get to him, and he just blocked them all. And yet I was like, he had to talk to me. He had to sit in the car. But if you're not lucky enough to just have that in your family, you have to put yourself in a situation where you can cross paths with the right mentors, with the right types of people. Which really means you've got to join a company that you respect. So, if you go down the CA road, you've got to join the firm that you respect the most. Now, I went to Deloitte. It was totally random. I just went there because it was the only place I applied. But it turned out to be great. A lot of nice people there, and I kind of bought their culture. And I think whatever firm you choose, if you want to be really entrepreneurial, choose a small firm, because that's where the real entrepreneurs are. If you're looking for like a big job one day, go to the big firm, because that's your network of mentors eventually. And you bump into these guys and they work with you and they take a shine to you, and they kind of start feeling a bit protective about you, and that's what you want from a mentor. Someone who's just looking out for you. And I've had 4 amazing mentors along the way that just look out for me. And when things don't go my way, they give me a shout and take me for lunch. My Deloitte's partner, actually. He was a nasty guy in articles. But, for some reason, he just kept in touch with me over the years. And then when I got kicked out of Mixit, he took me for lunch that day. So just that stuff happens. It just happens, So don't force it, but you should be on the lookout for, older people that want to buy you coffee.
So your advice would be not to be an island, don't cut yourself off.
No.
Definitely. You touched on it earlier, Alan. You said you'd encourage everybody who wants to be an entrepreneur to study and become a CEO. So I want to ask the question slightly differently and ask, how has being a CEO enabled you to be a more successful entrepreneur?
Well, the first thing is that people take you more seriously when you're a CEO. Especially when you're young and you're entering the game. When you're 26 and you're trying to do a deal, they're like, you're a lighty, you don't know what you're talking about. When you're a chartered accountant, it was amazing for me to see. Even the most wealthy, whatever people in Joburg would pause, because there's a massive cash that comes with being a chartered accountant. It's a very important word. Those 2 words are very important in South Africa's business community and in the UK, funny enough. Not important at all in America, funny enough. They regard, it's called a CPA. They don't regard them very highly. But in South Africa, business very important. And the second thing is, the second thing is that it gives you a backstop. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, you're probably going to take a lot of risk in your life, and you should never take an uncontrolled risk. Just roll your dice, jump off the edge, build your wings on the way down. That's just crap. That's I don't know if you've got motivational posters like that, but that's like Oprah Winfrey stuff. It's not relevant to anyone in the world, but especially not people living in a country like South Africa where there's no real safety net. Who's going to catch you? So you've got to have a plan B. And for me, my CA, look, I feel like I'm unemployable. No one's going to really employ me. So I don't really have a plan B, but at the back of my mind, I've tricked myself into thinking that if it all doesn't work out, I can always be a CA and go work at audit firms. So that's the second thing. I think it's very good to have that backup and feel like you can always get a job. And then the third thing is money, finances, accounting. It's the blood and guts of business. You really just can't. You just don't know how you're making money. If you can't read an income statement or a balance sheet, you will never actually understand how you make money. And it's like a language. It's like learning French or something. And business is about money, so you have to be able to speak the language of business, which is accounting. It is the language. And not only does it give you a better understanding of your business, but it lets you do financial transactions. So I actually believe the most value creation, wealth value creation in the world comes from financial engineering. So not building a bridge, but building a massively complicated structured product that uses the bank to let you buy a business and you own the equity and the bank is the debt. You know, that's how people get really rich. And really the goal of being an entrepreneur is to get rich. If it's not, then it's just a lifestyle. It's just a lifestyle, it's an ego thing, it's a lazy thing. But if you want to start a business and you want to get rich, you have to figure out a way to use other people's money without giving away your upside. And only financial engineering can give you that edge. And I think a CA gives you a lot of insight. You might not be the guy that does the engineering, but they can't fool you.
Very good, Alan. By the way, Alan had some insight into questions I'll be asking him, but he has not been paid a cent to say anything. Alan is saying what Alan is saying. The one thing that was interesting when I was just reading up about more the person, Alan Knott-Craig, is that in an article you recommended that people marry young. So specifically entrepreneurs. So can you maybe just outline why you encourage entrepreneurs to marry young?
Is anybody married? Anybody married under the age of 25?
Oh, yeah.
How old is she?
24.
Were you younger than her when you got married?
No.
I was 21,
Ah.
and I've been married for 47 years.
You know how to So, I've actually done a lot of reading on the subject of early marriages, arranged marriages, etc. And actually it works. So, I'm a believer actually in arranged marriages. Assuming your parents love you. If your parents don't love you, then you don't want them to arrange a marriage. But if they love you, they're going to know who's good for you and they're going to match you and you're just going to cut with true love. I got married when I was 25. So I met in my first year of articles, which is white fronts, I owe you one. Because I didn't waste any time at university, I got to first year articles and my future wife was in the class with me, and so we hit it off. It took me a long time to hook her and reel her in. It took about 2 years. But by the time I got to third year, we got engaged and we got married the very last day of our article. So I was 25, which in my circle was very young. It was 5 years younger than anyone else. And there are some negatives, I think, but I think for the most part, particularly if you want to start your own business, there's some very big positives when you get married young. The first thing is, just assuming, of course, that you marry the right person. By the way, that's why you got to marry young, actually, is because you want to course correct young. If you wait until you're 33 and you get married and you find out you didn't really know what you were marrying, and I promise you never know what you're marrying until you get married. When you're 33, it's harder to find plan B. But when you're 25, 27, you do it again. 29, you do it again. You just keep iterating until you find the one. But, so there's some big advantages to getting married if you want to start a business. First thing is you lower your overheads, so you can share your overheads. You can share rent, basically. That's most fundamental. Second thing is you're not spending a lot of money going out and drinking and trying to come right Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You just have known, I didn't go out when I was young because I enjoyed socializing. I went out because I was trying to come right. And so that just completely was just eliminated from my life. I just went from having to worry about that stuff to not worrying about it. So no distracted SMSing or a couple of you guys are WhatsApping, you're WhatsApping chicks or oaks. Like that stuff doesn't happen. No more. I don't think about that anymore. Out of my life. Out of my life are hangovers. Out of my life is the spend on just drinking for random drinking reasons. And so I could focus. And I think focusing is very, very important when you want to start this. You want to be able to concentrate. You don't want goals in your head. You don't want to worry about money. So you want to get into a situation where you're not spending money unnecessarily. And you know, I've had some big wins in my life. I became quite famous in 2008. I sent this email which went viral, and we wrote the best-selling book in South Africa that year, which is called Don't Panic, telling people that South Africa is not such a bad place. I even ended up in high school. You know, when you've really cracked it when you end up in high school. And I became a maniac. But you know, my wife was there. You know, she knew what I was like from before. So you know, lots of people blow smoke up your ass. Easy to get carried away. She was there to like keep me humble. You know? And at the same time, when I had a massive setback 3 years ago when when I was kicked out of Mixit, you know, that was quite an embarrassing moment. And if you think PE is small, Stellenbosch is really small. You know, in Stellenbosch, if you get divorced, you're still brother and sister. So a lot of people knew what had happened. So it's like quite a public kind of publicly embarrassing thing. But my wife was there, you know, so she didn't marry me for my money, thank God. And so if she had, she would have left me. And, you know, another reason to get married before you make money, you know, just marry whilst you are what you are and not pretending to be somebody else. And she saved me. You know, if she hadn't been there, I wouldn't have made it. You know. I certainly wouldn't have started another business. I would have just de-risked my life and gone into corporate. So, you know, I think there are a million reasons why you should get married young. And you know, not everyone is lucky enough to meet the person of their dreams when they're young, but if you do, get married. Don't take it for granted.
Good. I think the audience would also be interested in, you went through a time in your life where you reached a point of actually resigning as CEO of Project kind of what I read was to go back to your marriage and to save your marriage. So just tell us kind of what you went through and then how that shaped you. Resigning from such a high profile position, giving that up.
Well, you know, long story short, in 2008 I reached a point where it was becoming quite apparent that my work responsibilities and everything was not conducive to my marriage. And we just had our first child. Anyone who's ever had children knows that changes the dynamic in a relationship. And living in Joburg, it's hectic. There were just lots of things. So it reached a point of having to choose as opposed to, oh, well, we'll sort this out. So I chose. It was actually my old man who gave me the advice. He said, oh, you know, because I went to him, he's divorced. So I thought, you know, he's going to tell me, just get divorced. He said, just, you know, look at your wife, look at your work, choose. And that's your choice. So don't say you didn't make that choice. You know, it's not like they have to stay with you just because you're working. You know, like, it's just, you have to choose. You have to decide who's the most important thing. So that's not what I wanted to do. But I thought that's what I wanted, my family. So I put them first. Luckily, my shareholders were accommodating, and I left. And then we moved to Stellenbosch, which was where my wife's from. You know, their parents are there, and when you have kids, you also find yourself gravitating towards your in-laws. So we got down there, and we spent a good 6 months just. And it was a great decision. It was the best decision I ever made. And it was a decision for the right reasons, you know. It was my best career decision, money decision, everything decision. And yet I did it for my family. So I think if you make decisions for the right reasons, the rest of the things take care of themselves. And I think your wife's got to be, or your husband's got to be the most important person in your whole life, more important than your kids. And so I figured that out. Luckily I was quite young when I figured that out, so it's made my decision making pretty simple. And now all I do is I structure my life in such a way that I never ever have to choose again. So I never want to get into a situation where I have to choose. Like, my responsibilities are so big that I can't spend at least 3 nights at home a week, you know, and that I can't take my kids to school every morning, things like that. So I've got to make sure I don't jump onto a horse that you can't get off without maybe damaging the relationship.
I'm going to combine the last two, get insights from you, and then we'll be opening sort of passing the mic around if there are any questions from the floor for Alan. So you can start thinking in the meantime. But you've mentioned that you wrote the book Don't Panic, you're positive about South Africa. And I think that links with your new venture that you're involved in. So maybe just tell the audience about Project Isizwe and why you're positive about our country.
Okay, so look, I've been lucky enough to travel a lot. I've been to about 65 countries around the world. And I haven't seen a country that's as good as South Africa. For all its pluses and its minuses, the package is amazing. So, and it's mainly because of opportunity. So if I didn't really, you know, if I wasn't hungry, maybe go live in Australia, America, whatever. America might sound like the land of opportunity. It's not really. There's a lot of competition there. compared to what we have here, this is the land of opportunity. So, on the way to the balance of things, I think it's the land of opportunity. All things being equal, you have a better life here at every tier of society. So the poorest of the poor in America have a worse life than the poorest of the poor in South Africa. And the richest of the rich in South Africa have a better life than the richest of the rich in America. So at every tier, outside of absolute terms, relative terms, amazing country to live in. And, but I also don't think that the country will just keep itself going forever, So you can't just sit on the sidelines and say, I'm going to make money, or I'm just going to do my thing and the rest, good luck, So we're all in it together, and that dawned on me when I had my first child, because I started picturing myself having to tell her when she was like 16 that, what she's going to say, Dad, what did you do? Were you participating or were you on the sidelines? And I didn't want to say I was just on the sidelines, particularly if it can go well for the country. So I thought, okay, how do I blend this kind of make money hunger that I have with this ambition to get rich with helping people? So I can feel like it's doing two things at the same time. And we started World of Avatar, which was apps for dumb phones, the smart apps for dumb phones. So we wanted to exploit the opportunity created by a massive penetration of mobile phones in Africa, but the fact that Americans think that everyone's got a smartphone, everyone's got a credit card, everyone's got free broadband, and so they don't really compete in our space. They don't create product for our space, and so we wanted to do that. And that became quite big, and then we bought Mixit, which is the ultimate smart app for a dumb phone. And anyway, that all didn't work out particularly well for me. Then when I took my little break, I came back to South Africa, and I was still convinced that this is the place to be. I want to live here, land of opportunity. It always comes back to land of opportunity. It's just the place where I have an edge. I don't have an edge in Australia, I don't have an edge in England, I don't have an edge in America. Definitely don't have an edge in China. So I want to live here, I want to get ahead, I want to be here. So, and how do I do that? And then we started this Project Isizwe as a non-profit company as a side venture. And when I was at Mixit, we'd done the Stellenbosch Free Wi-Fi project, where we just working together with the government, we could roll out really cheap public free Wi-Fi. And that became an orphan after I left, and then people asked me to pick up from where I left off, and so we set up Project Isizwe. But when I went to the municipality, they weren't interested. Lights on, no one's at home. And then I went to the City of Cape Town, and if you don't know what a good job the City of Cape Town are doing, just go and ask them, because they're going to tell you. So I realized I can't really help people who don't think they need any help. So I went to Pretoria, where I grew up, Tshwane. The nice thing about being from Pretoria is that everywhere else in the world is awesome. I can give them a place. Afghanistan, Iraq, no problem. And then I found myself back there, pitching to the mayor of Tshwane, and it started very small, but today, City of Tshwane contracts Project Isizwe for 200 million rand every year to roll out free Wi-Fi in townships and poor communities. And by 2017, already 22% of all buildings in Tshwane are now within walking distance of public free Wi-Fi. By 2017, every citizen will be able to walk out of their door, walking distance to a free Wi-Fi zone. So it's internet as a utility, like water, like electricity, subsidized by municipalities. And it is a non-profit. At some stage I realized it doesn't matter what my ambitions are, you don't often get an opportunity like this to work with the government, and it makes such a big difference. So I've been doing that for about 2.5 years. It's reached a point now where it's very big and it's stable, and it's not that exciting for me anymore. So my big priority is I want to be startups. I like building new things. So from next year I'll hand over the CEO reins to my Chief Operating Officer, and then I'm more focused on Hero Telecoms. But for Isizwe, my particular next effort is PE, Nelson Mandela Bay. I want Nelson Mandela Bay to be the first metro to copy Tshwane. And by this time next year, there's no reason you can't have 1 million people on free internet here in PE itself, which, in my opinion, is the future of South Africa. Rural,